public opinion and drive effective educational policy directions to guide the formulators and implementers. For your comments, questions, and contributions, you can reach us on Facebook via www.facebook.com/Light Radio, Twitter @The Light Radio, Instagram Light_Radio, YouTube Light Radio. You can also call or send a message to us via SMS or WhatsApp on 0809 738 4000. Again, 0809 738 4000. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, the program continues. Please stay with us. If you just joined in, you are listening to Education Today on Light Radio. We kick off with the new segment with Mr. KAZEEM. Hello, Dr. KAZEEM.
Hello, Said. It's a pleasure to be here.
So please kindly give us the news.
All right. This is the news on Education Today, reaching you live from Light Radio. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. First, the headlines. Only 20% of 2024 UTME candidates will get admission as FG pegs admission age at 18 years. UTME 2024 JAM sanctions officials over harassment of hijab-wearing candidates. UNN suspends lecturer caught pants down in viral video. And on the foreign scene, arrest at University of South California amid pro-Palestine protests nationwide. South Carolina campus, California campus closed. Now, the details. The federal government has revealed that only 20% of the candidates sitting the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) might be offered admission into universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education across the country. The government is also contemplating a review of the current age requirement for entry into tertiary institutions in the country, which is likely to be pegged at 18 years. Minister of Education Professor Tahir Maman made the disclosures on Monday in Abuja while monitoring the ongoing Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination alongside the Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board (JAM), Professor Ishaq Oloide. More than 1.9 million candidates registered to participate in the examination that commenced on 19th April and is expected to end on 29th April 2024. Maman expressed concerns about some parents who exert unnecessary pressure on their children, warning them against pushing the children and words too much to allow them to attain some level of maturity to be able to better manage their affairs before gaining admission into tertiary institutions. The management of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board (JAM) has sanctioned some of its officials for asking a candidate donning hijab to remove her head cover during the accreditation process before being allowed into the examination hall for the ongoing Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The board said its attention was drawn on Sunday via a news report to the unfortunate incident which occurred at the Bafuto Institute, Ilewe Bus Stop, Ejigbo, Lagos Examination Center. JAM Public Communication Advisor Dr. Fabian Benjamin, who conveyed this in a statement on Sunday in Abuja, said the board deeply regretted the incident as the action was not in accordance with the board's guidelines on accreditation of candidates for the examination. According to Dr. Benjamin, the situation was instantly addressed by a senior official of the board at the center, and the candidate in question was allowed in after the usual checks with her hijab. However, since ignorance of the law is not an excuse, the officials have been appropriately sanctioned to serve as a deterrent to others who might wish to toe the same line going forward. The board affirmed that as a national institution, it has no policy barring candidates from sporting the religious paraphernalia peculiar to their religious persuasions, as these are the facts of everyday life in Nigeria, which everyone should have been familiar with by now. The National Parent-Teacher Association of Nigeria (NAPTEN) has expressed support for the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman's recent pronouncement to peg the tertiary education admission age limit in Nigeria to 18 years instead of the current 16 years. The national president of NAPTEN, Alhaji Haruna Danjuma, expressed his backing on Wednesday during an interaction with the media. He, however, urged the federal government to co-opt the three major examining bodies in the country, that is, the West African Examinations Council (WAEC), the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board (JAM) and the National Examinations Council (NECO) to make the proposal a policy that would work effectively. He said parents who rush their children's education are mostly the rich and the educated ones who can afford to send their children to private schools, which usually admit underage children without considering their emotional maturity. Danjuma urged the federal government to compel WAEC, NECO, and JAM to henceforth register only students who are in the appropriate class and have attained the ages required for the examinations they are conducting. The management of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, UNN, has suspended indefinitely one of its lecturers, David Udom, allegedly involved in sexual harassment of a female married student. This is contained in a statement signed by the institution's public relations officer, Chief Okun Omiaku, and made available to newsmen on Tuesday in Nsukka. According to Omiaku, the indefinite suspension is with immediate effect, pending the outcome of a disciplinary panel constituted by the university to investigate the incident. Omiaku said the affected lecturer, who is of the General Studies Division, was allegedly caught in a video harassing a female student. He emphasized that the UNN had a zero tolerance for sexual misconduct involving either staff members or students. As such, the university management will not hesitate to punish Udodom according to the rules if found guilty by the disciplinary panel. The federal government has ordered an investigation into the alleged bullying among students of Lead British International School, Abuja, and has vowed to punish the culprits involved in the incident. Folashade Boriowo, the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Federal Ministry of Education, made this known in a statement on Tuesday in Abuja, expressing the ministry's dismay over the incident. In the statement, Boriowo expressed profound concern for the safety of all students within educational establishments across the country, noting that bullying in any form contravenes the fundamental rights and dignity of young learners. Accordingly, the ministry has initiated an investigation into the matter and will work closely with pertinent stakeholders to ensure the culprits are brought to book to stop such unwholesome practices. And on the foreign scene, police arrested protesters Wednesday at the University of Southern California campus, which closed to the public Wednesday amid clashes between pro-Palestinian demonstrators and authorities at the school and nationwide. Arrests were actively being made on campus Wednesday evening, a Los Angeles police spokesperson told newsmen. The spokesperson said he could not provide an estimate on how many people were detained, though some media reports were putting the number at over 90. The university closed the main campus due to the significant activity on campus, USC's Department of Public Safety said in an alert to students. Everyone on the campus could still leave, but students were required to enter through pedestrian gates using their school IDs. Hundreds of students and off-campus activists protested for hours at the university on Wednesday, joining movements at colleges across the country demanding that universities cut any ties with Israel and call for a ceasefire in Gaza. The war in Gaza has seen destruction of all educational facilities in the tiny strip and the death toll surpassing 34,000 Palestinians, including students, teachers, and university academics. That's all on the news today, but before we go, another look at the major stories. Only 20% of 2024 UTME candidates will get admission as FGPEC's admission age at 18 years. UTME 2024 JAM sanctions officials over harassment of hijab-wearing candidates. UNN suspends lecturer caught pan down in a viral video. And on the foreign scene, arrests at USC amid pro-Palestinian protests nationwide. Southern California campus closed. That's the news. It was compiled and edited by OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. For coverage of your educational events, seminars, conferences, fairs, competitions, among others, you can call us on 070-2507-4268. I'll take that again, 070-2507-4268. Or you can send us an email via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
That's all we can take on the news for today. Right now, we will take the icon of the week with Miss Amina. How are you doing, Amina?
I'm fine. How are you doing too?
Good, thank you.
Now, the icon of the week. You're welcome to the icon of the week segment where we consider the life and times of individuals that lived inspiring lives and contributed immensely to educational development in our world. I am Karim Aminat. Our icon for this week is the great Irish playwright, critic, political activist, and Nobel laureate, George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw was born on July 26, 1856 in Dublin, Ireland, to George Carl Shaw, an unsuccessful corn merchant, and Lucinda Elizabeth Shaw. His family struggled financially, but Shaw received his early education at home, where his mother taught him to read and write. His father's failure in business led to frequent moves, disrupting Shaw's education. His mother, a talented musician and storyteller, instilled in him a love for the arts and a critical eye. Though his formal education was unremarkable, Shaw was a self-motivated learner, devouring literature, philosophy, and music. At 15, he found himself working as a clerk in a Dublin office, a job he found stifling but one that provided him with first-hand experience of the social and economic inequalities that would later fuel his writing. At the age of 20, Shaw moved to London to pursue a writing career. He worked as a clerk, and his real passion lay in literature and politics. Despite lacking formal university education, Shaw was an avid reader and self-taught polymath, delving into various subjects ranging from economics to philosophy. Shaw sought a new life in London, chasing his dream of becoming a novelist. However, his early attempts proved unsuccessful. He found his voice, however, through journalism, writing incisive critiques of music, theater, and society. His sharp wit and Eben Shaw began writing play in the late 1980. Unconventional view garnered him notoriety. Inspired by the work of Henrik Ibsen, Shaw began writing play in the late 1880s. These plays, often filled with biting satire and society commentary, challenged Victorian morality and championed social reforms. Works like Miss Wearing Profession, 1893, Pygmalion, 1913, and Saint Johann, 1923, established him as a leading playwright of his generation. Notably, Shaw famously declined the monetary award upon winning the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1925. Shaw believed in the power of education to empower and liberate the working class. He actively participated in the Fabian Society, a socialist organization advocating for gradual social reform through political means. His plays often tackled themes of poverty, gender inequality, and the need for a more just and equitable society. Shaw never married, but he had a significant relationship with Charlotte Payne Townshend, an Irish heiress and fellow socialist. They lived together from 1898 until her death in 1943. Although they never had children, their relationship was a central part of Shaw's life. Shaw died on November 2, 1950, at the age of 94 in Hayat Street, Lawrence, Hertfordshire, England. His legacy as a playwright, critic, and political activist continue to influence literature and social thought to this day. George Bernard Shaw remains one of the most significant playwrights of the 20th century. His plays continues to be performed around the world, sparking dialogue and challenging audiences to think critically about society. His wit, social commentary, and dedication to social reform continue to inspire writers and activists today. And that's it on the icon of the week. I am Karim Aminat. Education Today continues after this time out. Please stay with us.
That was the Icon of the Week segment. We celebrate the renowned Irish playwright, social critic, political activist, and Nobel laureate George Bernard Shaw. Right now, we will take the School in Focus segment with, of course, myself. Good afternoon and welcome to the School in Focus segment, where we take a look at institutions of interest, provide a background to their establishment, their administration, and notable alumni. I am Saeed Olandewaju Aremu. Our School in Focus today is Fora Bay College, now University of Sierra Leone. University of Sierra Leone, formerly known and which started as Fora Bay College, is a prominent public university in Sierra Leone, West Africa. Fora Bay College opened in 1827 as the first institution of higher learning in modern sub-Saharan Africa after the collapse of the one at Timbuktu. Until the Second War, Fora Bay College offered the only alternative to Europe and America for British colony West Africans who wanted a university degree. Fora Bay College is a public university in the neighborhood of Mount Erol in Freetown, Sierra Leone. Founded on 18 February 1827, it is the first Western-style university built in sub-Saharan Africa and furthermore, the first university-level institution in Africa. It is a constituent college of the University of Sierra Leone, USL, and was formerly affiliated with Durham University between 1876 and 1967. The college was established in February 1827 as an Anglican missionary school by the Church Missionary Society with support from Charles McCarthy, the governor of Sierra Leone. Samuel Ajayi Crowder was the first student to be enrolled at Fora Bay. Fora Bay College soon became a magnet for Sierra Leone's Creoles and other Africans seeking higher education in the British West Africa. This included Nigerians, Ghanaians, Ivorians, and many more, especially in the fields of theology and education. Under colonialism, Freetown was known as the Athens of Africa due to the large number of excellent schools in Freetown and surrounding areas. Governor William Ferguson laid the foundation stone of the original Fora Bay College building when construction started in 1845. With construction supervised by Reverend Edward Jones, the institution's first black principal, who was an African-American missionary from South Carolina, United States. The original Fora Bay College building remained in regular use until World War II, when the college was temporarily moved outside Freetown. After the war, it became the headquarters of Sierra Leone Government Railway, and later, as a magistrate court. The building was proclaimed a national monument in 1955. The building ceased to be in use in the early 1990s and caught fire, sadly, in 1999. Over the years, it expanded its curriculum to include a wide range of academic disciplines. The college has played a significant role in the development of education and intellectual life in Sierra Leone and West Africa. Fora Bay College offers a diverse range of undergraduate and postgraduate programs in arts, sciences, social sciences, and professional studies. Students engage in lectures, seminars, practicals, and independent study. The college emphasizes research and encourages students to participate in academic conferences, workshops, and community service activities. The campus provides various facilities, including libraries, laboratories, sports ground, and student accommodation. Prospective students typically apply online or through the university's admissions office. Admission requirements vary depending on the program, but usually include academic qualifications, entrance exams, and sometimes interviews. International students may have additional requirements such as English proficiency tests. Today, Fura Bay College stands as one of the three consistent colleges under the administration of University of Sierra Leone in Freetown. Among the notable alumni of the college are Samuel Ajayi Crowder, one-time Anglican Bishop of West Africa and first graduate of Fura Bay College; Lati Hyde Foster, first African principal of Annie Walsh Memorial School and first female graduate of Fura Bay College; Sir Henry Lightfoot Boston, the first African Governor General of Sierra Leone; Sir Samuel Lewis, first mayor of Freetown and first West African to receive a knighthood; Sir Salako Benka Koka, first Sierra Leonean Chief Justice of the Supreme Court; Henry Rawlinson Kaur, educator, administrator, and first Nigerian inspector of schools who opened the first public primary and secondary schools in Nigeria; Christian Frederick Cole, first black graduate of Oxford and first African barrister to practice in English courts; Michael Adekunle Ajasin, first civilian governor of Ondo State; Samuel Benjamin Thomas, philanthropist, entrepreneur, and one of the richest men in 19th century Africa; Africanus Houghton, surgeon, scientist, and political thinker who worked towards African independence a century before it occurred; Kenneth Dike, the first Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan; Chief Sam Mbakwe and Chief Alex Akinyele, who were prominent Nigerian politicians in the early 80s and 90s. That's it in our school in focus for today. I remain Saeed Aremu. Education Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us. You are still on to Education Today on Light Radio, and we are moving into the discuss segment, and our guest is here with us. We are discussing UTME 2024 and federal government's 18 years age requirement for admission into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. A brief background. On Monday, 22nd April 2024, the Minister of Education, Prof. Tahir Mamman, while monitoring the ongoing Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME, disclosed that the government is contemplating a review of the current age requirements for entry into tertiary institutions in the country, which is likely to be pegged at 18 years. The minister expressed concerns about some parents who exert unnecessary pressure on their children and wards who he described as too young to apply for enrollment in tertiary institutions and understand what education is all about. He said 18 is the entry age for universities, which is an age they can successfully migrate from a controlled environment to a place where they are in charge of their own affairs. He appealed to parents to allow the students mature rather than being pressured into universities where they won't be able to manage themselves properly. Joining us on the program today is a lecturer, a public affairs commentator, an educational consultant, and our in-house analyst, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Said. Good afternoon, Amina. And good afternoon, listeners.
Remember, you can be part of the discourse by sending your comments and questions to 0809-738-4000 or drop your comment, and we do appreciate, drop your comment via the live video feeds on Facebook and YouTube. Before moving into the discourse proper, our short quiz question. Again, who is the first student and graduate of Fura Bay College? This time, who is the first student and graduate of Fura Bay College? Send your answer to the WhatsApp number 0809-738-4000 or our Facebook or YouTube page. The first correct answer wins the prize. Now, Mr. KAZEEM.
Yeah.
Firstly, just like want to reaction from you to this news of the Education Minister and the proposal of 18 years. Is this the current age requirement or is it a new proposal?
Well, thank you very much for having me. Concerning the fact that we have a proposal from the minister, to call it a new proposal would, for laymen, we can say yes, probably it's a new proposal. But for those who are actually educationally inclined, who have an idea of the content of the what we call the national policy on education, the provisions of that policy, then the idea of 18 years being the age requirement for tertiary institution, applicants would not come as a surprise. Then, currently, ordinarily, based on the question that I asked, the age requirement for admission into tertiary institutions in Nigeria currently stands at 16.
Okay.
The minimum age requirement for anyone is that anyone that is seeking application to any tertiary institution in Nigeria by October 1st of that year, such a person must be 16 years and above. So 16 years and above, that's the current,
Current policy.
policy, and as implemented by JAM. But if you now look at, if you are now saying, what then is it? So as far as the policy is concerned, it's really not it. Although the policy did not specify the specific age, but it's something that we can infer from, the policy.
I thought the policy specified 18 years as the new age requirement.
New. So let's not first call it new or old, because it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's still a proposal by the minister.
Okay.
If you look at the comment that he made, he said the federal government is contemplating, coming up with a policy where the admission age will be pegged at a minimum of 18 years.
Okay.
Now, but if you are looking at what exactly is the position of the policy, now, in our policy, the policy specifies the levels of education that we have in Nigeria. So we have what we call the basic education. You have the second post-basic education. Let me put it out: post-basic education, and you have tertiary education. Basic education is a 10-year program, including 1 year of pre-primary education, 6 years of primary education, and 3 years of junior secondary education. Now, and expectedly, for you to begin the basic education, you're supposed to be 6 years.
Is that the educational policy?
That's in the policy. That's the
Okay.
policy. And the
Okay.
current one, the latest one, is that we have been practicing, that we have as our 2013. That's the 6th edition of the National Policy on Education, the 6th edition of it. So it specifies that entry age into primary education is 6 years. So for junior secondary, 11 plus. So at least if you start at 6, by the time you would finish primary school, the minimum age would be 11. So it means that by the time you are getting into secondary school, most likely you'll be like 12 years
Okay.
or 11 plus. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So now, if you now spend 6 years in
For secondary school
secondary
education.
education,
Okay.
both junior and
And senior.
senior secondary, most likely you would be 18
Or 17.
or 17. See, let's say 17 by the time you are concluding,
Okay.
and probably by the time you now seek admission into tertiary education,
You would
most
be
likely you'll
18.
be 18.
Understood.
So I want to believe that the minister inferred from the provisions of the National Policy on Education to say that we actually need to peg, this at 18 somehow, because what we currently have is 16, and that is what JAMB has actually even been implementing or trying to implement. Because as far as I'm concerned, JAMB has also not even been very, very strict with the implementation of that, and I think that has probably been left to the institutions.
So, Mr. KAZEEM, thanks so much. So the question is that whose duty is to fix the age into
Entry.
into tertiary institution? Is it the government, the JAM, or the institution that they are?
Well,
that they want to?
That's a very dicey question, sincerely, because stakeholders came together to formulate the national policy on education, and it has not been changed since 2013 when the sixth edition was published. And in Nigeria, we have what we call the National Council on Education. That's the highest policy formulating body as far as education is concerned in Nigeria. And that council comprises the Minister of Education, the Ministers of Education, the Commissioners of Education across the 36 states. So whatever resolution they are able to come up with is taken to the Federal Executive Council for final ratification and approval. And upon that, it becomes something that will be implemented across the federation. Now, so if we can infer from the policy that ordinarily anyone seeking admission into tertiary institutions should probably be like 18 years. So that's the policy. So government has already formulated the policy. So who then implements? Government itself should actually supervise the implementation of the policy. And that will now be undertaken by the Ministry of Education and the various agencies under the control of the Ministry of Education. Now, expectedly too, the institutions are supposed to also do that. Then, we also have an agency like the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board that actually coordinates admission processes into tertiary institutions. Yes. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Because anyone that will gain admission into tertiary institution in Nigeria, it has to actually be ratified or be routed through JAM, even if it is not UTME, even if it is DLI, distance learning, even if it is sandwich, even if it is JUPEB, IJMB, whatsoever. It is expected that before you gain admission to university or College of Education or Polytechnic, you should actually go through JAM. But then, so who then is to implement? I think it requires a collective effort, because if government says this and the institutions fail to the institutions are the one that receives the students. Yes. So they do clearance, they register the students upon conclusion of the admission process. Now, ordinarily, JAM is supposed to screen that process, and that's why JAM has actually been implemented out of 16 years. So, and that is why if you are not 16, ordinarily you are not, such an admission is not supposed to be cleared by JAM. But unfortunately, we have seen such being done. JAM has really not, been so proficient in ensuring that anyone that will gain admission to tertiary institution, as of October 1st of that year, is actually 16 years. But that is left to the institutions. And I'm saying this in light of the fact that a lot of the public institutions, tertiary institutions that we have in Nigeria, have actually been implementing that policy. But in Nigeria of today, the major corporates, as far as jettisoning or neglecting or overlooking this particular policy, even that of 16 years, is the private institutions, because they want more people. They are looking for customers. Let me put it that way. So you see someone that would graduate, proof of it. So how they now do that without JAM discovering such is something else. So, but I think that it requires the effort, a collective effort of everyone to be sure that, yes, if we have this policy, let us implement it to the latter.
Actually, yeah. And I think we are being too hard on JAM, because based on the process we just outlined, it should not be possible for any student to be able to graduate from secondary school until you're at least 17 years of age. So this means we have students starting primary schools from well before they are 6, maybe from before 4 years of age, from 5. Then they go through the process and get double promotions, and ultimately they graduate from secondary school by the age of 13 or 14. So that situation, I guess we also have to extend it to.
No, thank you very much for that that angle, the perspective that you have just provided. The truth of the first time that a child is getting enrolled into formal education at that lower level, if it's yet 6, or your hand cannot touch your ears,
actually,
you cannot actually be admitted into primary school.
Yes.
Now, if you're to look at that, it means there is a level of psychological and physical maturity expected of anyone that would enroll into formal education, system. Now, today we have jettisoned that because parents are interested in, if possible, the child would already be in JSS1 at the age of 9 years. And that is what is happening right now. If you now have a 9-year-old boy or girl in JSS1, the question is, at what age did he start primary school? And if they start at 9, some of them 14, 15, because some of them will not even write SS3.
Yes.
SS2, they enroll them for external examination, GCE, and the likes like that, and they forgo it. So you have all these things happening at that level. So if probably the states who have the jurisdiction to manage secondary education, as well as even primary education through their suburbs, have actually been very, very, proficient and effective in checking the entry age of those who enrolled in, primary one, basic one, or whatsoever, whichever way we want to call it, then some of these issues we are having now, we won't have it.
Okay.
But if you look at it, a lot of times it's mostly these private schools that are always culpable.
We have one now that people be like, our class that you have a reception. Reception, what is reception?
You see,
things like that.
God bless you. In fact, in a lot of private schools in Nigeria today, more than 80 to 90% of them don't have primary 6.
Actually, they stop
They've
at
actually,
primary 5.
it's primary 5.
Then you jump
So,
to JSS1.
From primary 5 to JSS1.
You probably get up promotion again to like
So,
JSS3.
and if a lot of the job promotion actually take place in the primary schools.
Oh yeah, true.
So it's always a problem with some of these private school owners, and for some parents they feel like at least that's reducing the amount of school fees I'll pay.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, they're also looking at, I want my child to graduate as early as possible, so that at least he will have opportunities of getting employment. For some employers, because, and I think we also need to call them out here. So employers too, at what age do you expect them to graduate? Students in the university said, you would say whoever that would apply should not be more than 24 years, 23 years, and should have 3-4 years experience. Where will that come from?
What in this country?
These are some of the issues.
So, Prof, looking at it from the angle of hand touching the ear before you get to go to school, before you have been allowed to go to school, what of those that are not that tall, that just have this
well, that's just I want to believe that's an aside. The reality is it's not just about the height. It's a function of age, and mental age is what matters here, because the truth of the matter is we are actually robbing children of their childhood. We are robbing them of the opportunity to grow at their own pace, to mature at their own pace, to do the normal plays that children should play, so that at the end of the day, psychologically, they are getting to observe things in their environment. They are making sense of what they have, and not just, you want your child that is probably 3-4 years that should start reading, should be reading a book, and should be in primary 1, 4 years, so that by 9 years he's in JSS1, and by 14 years
he's done with secondary school.
So
by
18, 19, there's a graduate of the university.
I mean,
where exactly are we rushing to?
Actually, see, I actually wanted to work with me on this. We said, and I quote, only 20% of candidates gain admission as JAMB specs admission.
As FG specs admission.
FG specs entry age to 18 years. That sounds like a reaction to me, probably from us, like, what, this is worrying, like just 20% out of how many students, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to know, like, what is the reaction that that people are showing regarding this particular news that we have gotten?
Well, the truth of the matter is that different stakeholders have reacted to the proposal by the minister. Probably let me even start. We have a reaction from the National Parent Teacher Association of Nigeria, NAPTAN.
Okay.
And to them, they think, yeah, it's the right decision. In the sense, and for them, they are even saying that.
That means they're okay with just 20%
No. It's not the 20% they are okay with. It's
Okay.
the 18 years entry age we're talking about here. So for them, that 18 years proposal by the minister is a welcome development. And they're saying that to a large extent it's actually parents and these private institutions that actually, try to circumvent, this policy.
Yeah.
One. Then number two is also the fact that they also blame the examination bodies. That it's not enough for us to just say we want to peg it at 18. The question is, before a child writes UTME, a lot of them would register for WAEC or NECO. Now, a lot of these examination bodies are also asking for NIN. So invariably, that NIN would show your age. And why should you register someone that you already know and you can see that this person is underage? That a lot of these examination bodies actually jettison this age requirement because of the money they get from registration from these students, from these candidates. So that it should not just be about the money. And it's not just about the minister saying it, that the education ministry should now compel these exam bodies to start the implementation so that before you even get to JAM, if you are not up to the age ordinarily that is recognized for that particular class or for that particular stage of examination, you should not even be allowed to register, or such a registration process should not, go scale through. See, NECO conducts National Common Entrance Examination for the whole federation into these, unity colleges and some of these special, school for the gifted and all so on like that. The question is, what is the age of those who register for that National Common Entrance Examination? So, do we really checkmate? Why should we register a 9-year-old person for that National Common Entrance Examination when ordinarily you know quite well a child is supposed to start primary education at 6?
Yeah.
So it means by the time the child is in primary 6, which should not be less than 11 years, and you are now registering someone that is 8, 9 for National Common Entrance Examination, where is the person going? So if you are checkmated that at that level, then it means that students would stay the normal years they ought to spend in primary school. They will spend the normal years they ought to spend in secondary school. Mind you, for the GSS3 examination, it is still NECO that organizes these exams for these unity colleges. If you can even start at that level, and by the time you now get to SS3, WAEC and NECO, they're also implementing that. Then JAM now also implements that. Then automatically, this policy would be seamless in terms of implementation.
Yeah, actually.
Prof, thanks so much. So the question is that why did you think the minister came up with this, and did you think it's really necessary? Because we have some students that are very smart and they are not even up to 18 years old.
Yeah, and just to add to that,
of
right?
age.
So
Okay.
we have the issue of the academic staff union of universities going on strike for that prolonging the time you're supposed to spend in school. So putting all of these things together, do you think it's justified for the minister to come up with this?
Well, I would say first that as a minister, the implementation of the policies that you have in our education document, the National Policy on Education, its implementation is to be coordinated. The minister should actually lead the implementation, process of that thing. So for him to call for the implementation of the age requirement is not out of place.
Okay.
But then, is that our priority now?
Exactly. Is that our priority?
Well, for me, and I think for the minister, I think there are so many other issues that are more important as far as our tertiary education in Nigeria is concerned, beyond just the age requirement or the entry age requirement. But then we should not close sight to the fact that, see, a lot of us will now complain of sexual harassment, bullying in our tertiary institutions, the issue of cultism, the issue of frustration by students who probably, because they fail a particular course, they get frustrated. Some will commit suicide. Some will actually, go into drug abuse and things like that. Because ordinarily, mentally, they cannot manage the stress of higher education. That level and the challenges associated with education at that level is too much for some people because they are not yet mature, ordinarily. Because ordinarily, when I say 18, that's the age of, the recognized age of adulthood in Nigeria.
Yeah, it is.
So it means that at that level, you expect that anyone that is not yet 18 is an underage person. And how do you think underage people can easily navigate the rigors of tertiary education? Managing lecture timetable, managing academic calendar, managing the stress of assignment, project, preparing for tests, examinations, and you get at the end of the in primary school and secondary school, there are some things that when you do it, might even give you opportunity of a makeup test. Probably in the university, say once you have missed a class, you have missed it. Once you have missed a particular test, you have missed it. It carry over. You see students start crying and like, are these ones babies? And so many other things like that. You missed a presentation or you did a presentation, and because you didn't perform well, you scored, you got a very low score, and you see people shedding tears as if they are, these are cry babies. Because ordinarily they are still babies. But then these are the people that actually have in tertiary institutions. So to them, they think that, we also need to look at that, because it's also part of the problem that eventually the educational system will have to grapple with. Are you with me?
Yes.
But then I think the minister should look beyond just this issue of 18 years and probably just as a proposal, let it be something that the institutions would discuss together with JAM, together with the examination bodies, and whatever resolution they are able to come up with, they present to the ministry. But for the minister to now be the one that will champion that, I think there are so many other issues, because if you look at our tertiary institutions, there are so many issues plaguing our tertiary institutions. We have shortfall of academic staff. You have this, shutting down these strikes and things like that. The issue of, poor remuneration of, university workers. The issue of facilities that are not even available. The issue of educational funding. And so many other issues that should actually occupy the attention of the minister beyond just the issue of 18 years. But then, this one, he's still doing his job. So far he's still doing his job, we cannot blame him. The only thing is, the same energy you are probably putting into this is also put it into some other issues that
thank you. A quick one, please. Do you think this would have adverse effect on the student and their zeal for education? What would they be doing after secondary school while waiting to mature for higher education? In fact, I think personally, I feel like it is a road they actually can grow into once they get into the tertiary institution itself. So why keep them waiting at home, right? So
now, why keep them waiting at home? The first is, which one comes first, the egg or the cock here? Because you're saying, so should it be that, should they actually even graduate before, the normal age? That's a function of, we need to look at that critically.
Okay.
Beyond that is, if you now have a situation where government decide, okay, this is a policy we want to start implementing, and you already have students that are already in secondary schools or they are already graduated, but beyond, below the age of 18, what would they be doing? There are so many things they can be doing. We're talking about the world of technology. We're talking about the world of skill acquisition. We're talking about the world of entrepreneurship. See, the truth of the matter is there are so many things these people can actually engage in. And here we're talking about the fact that we have so many graduates without jobs. So why should they wait until they graduate before they now say, I'm now an entrepreneur? And what is it that they talk about entrepreneur? I now make shoes. I sell wigs. I sell so and so. I'm using my Instagram. I'm using my social media, handle to sell that. And you are now, instead of you waiting to graduate before you now start learning such skills, why not learn such skills before you even get admission into this tertiary institution? So these are part of things they can do. There are professional bodies, professional examination bodies or institutions they can actually join. If, for instance, you're a commercial student and you finish school probably at the age of 16, nothing says you cannot enroll for ICANN before you even get admission to the university. You're an art student. Nothing says you cannot, engage probably in some, language development courses or some other things like that. There are so many things people can do. You're a science student. Who says probably you cannot go for probably some of these, technical, and vocational skills? Who says you cannot even go for programming? Who says you cannot go for some of these IT development skills? And so many things that people can do. So it's not a thing of, time wasting or whatsoever. But then, the reality is, if we're able to channel the effort of our children, of our students, to some other things beyond just the ones that develop our cognitive capacities, to also the ones that develop our psychomotor, our skills. See, Nigeria, we have a dearth of skilled manpower. Imagine that Dangote, refinery had to import expatriates from different parts of Africa. Because Nigerians don't want to learn any of such skills again. Everybody wants to go to office and want to be in the university. At the end of the day, you graduate, you don't have job, and you blame the government for unemployment. But then you have these people now, they need skills, we don't have them. Look at the Niger Delta, look at the oil companies. If anything gets wrong with the pipelines, we don't have enough Nigerians that have the skills to actually fix some of those things. We now have to import people from China, from Ukraine, from some of these other Eastern Europe countries.
Lebanon, surprisingly.
So what are we saying? So are we saying that? And I think this is an opportunity for us to actually channel the effort of Nigerians into some of these other areas.
Okay, Prof. Talking of venturing into entrepreneur, as you've said earlier, what if that does not after they started learning and they're getting something in return, can't they just be like, what is the essence of you going to school and I can just make it with this little thing I'm
Now,
doing?
it's a function of the kind of orientation that they get before they probably enroll into such. And that's why we need counseling. Counseling is also something that is needed for everybody needs counseling. It's not just those who have problems alone that needs counseling. And it's not just probably those who are unable to pass exams that need counseling. Everybody needs counseling. And that with counselors, they provide proper guidance to people. These are things. Okay, what are your interests? Let us see how we can channel your interests to, be in line with your talent and probably some of your career ambitions at the same time. So, it's not something that we say probably because of that they don't want to be interested in education again. It's a function of the kind of orientation that they get. Then beyond that is, see, the basic education people need is primary and secondary education. The reality is not everybody, see, but a lot of people will not accept this, but it's a fact. University education, even from the design of our educational system, university education is not meant for everybody. But because of this, craze and this rush, mad rush, I call it, for certificate, university certificate, and the way we also, discriminate against other people that have some other certifications beyond or apart from university certificate, the way we discriminate against them would actually discourage people from going to these areas. But the reality is, people have different functionalities. Let us utilize them in those areas where they are useful and respect them for who they are. That a university, academic does not give me, an edge or does not make me a better person than someone who is a driver of an articulated vehicle. I cannot drive that. So I should respect him for doing that. He cannot probably teach in the university, so he should respect me from. So by the time we have this mutual respect for whatever anyone is doing, the dignity of labor would come out, and everybody, regardless of what you do, you get that respect. And so far you are performing your civic duties. If he's an articulated, truck driver and he's paying his taxes, and I'm a university academic and I'm also paying my taxes, we're all responsible citizens.
Yeah. So thank you for the response, Prof. We'll go on a quick break now. The program continues when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program. Our discussion continues right now with Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Now, Mr. KAZEEM, so who is to blame for this situation? Parents, schools, or the government and the educational agencies?
We have enough blames to go around. Parents are to blame for the mad rush and necessarily putting pressures on their children. Some of us we have actually turned it to status symbol. Oh, how old is a boy? Oh, my boy is just 9 years, but he's already in JSS1. You think that's an achievement? For goodness sake. When you have denied that child so many things, or you're just rushing that boy unnecessarily. So that's the angle of the parent. The angle of schools. Some of these schools, because of probably money and other things like that, they want to benefit, and they just rush these children unnecessarily because they want to get the loyalty and the patronage of some parents. Say, oh, here you have the opportunity, you get this and this. You can even give your child a promotion and things like that, so that you retain your child in that school. Some of these things. The government agencies too are also to blame because of the fact that they have failed in performing their oversight functions, the supervisory functions, the regulatory functions, to ensure that the right things are done, the age requirement is actually respected, and at the end of the day too, the content that should be within the education is also acquired by those who are meant together.
Okay. Yeah, would this proposal not erode the autonomy of the institutions to determine the entry requirements for the applicant?
I think we can actually, work around that. If there is a consensus, between the government, the agencies, and the institutions themselves, we can actually agree on it. If we all believe that that's probably the way to go. If we feel that we need to increase the entry, age requirement from 16 to 18, for me, it's not even about we have to make it 18. Even the 16 that we have currently, to what extent have we actually implemented that? Because we have so many underage children, Their children, sincerely, underage students in actually in our tertiary institution, especially the private, universities.
Yeah.
So now, Prof, are we not shutting the door against the exceptional students who have the mental capacity to achieve a great things at their tender age?
Now, well, see, to every rule there is an exception. But unfortunately, because we see in Nigeria, we abuse the exception. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to claim that my child is exceptional.
When in fact
he's also a normal student.
Yeah.
The reality is, let me give you an instance. This school, the school for the gifted in Suleja, is supposed to take care of some of these kinds of people. Those exceptional cases, those 1 in a million cases that you would have such exceptional people. But if we consider him exceptional.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
But the reality is, it has been abused, because at the end of the day, because I'm the child of a senator, so I'm exceptional. My daddy is a governor, so that automatically confers exceptionality on me. It doesn't make sense. That's how we have abused it. In the same vein, you see, it is for us to actually look at. There are some tests that these students should be made to undergo. If at the end of the day they are found to be truly exceptional, then we can waive the rule on the basis of such exceptions. But then that should be something that the institutions should be able to determine with the approval of the government, the regulatory agencies. So it's not just something an institution, because a lot of these institutions, see, they want the money. At the end of the day, everybody, so if you are admitting 100 students, so you are saying that out of the 100 students, 80 are exceptional. Is that how it is done? That's no longer exceptional. Then it's
just normal.
See, we have the general norm and we have the exceptions, but unfortunately we have turned the exception to the general norm, and unfortunately that is what has led us to where we are today.
So, Prof, what's the work of the post-UTME if it is not to regulate all this and to just to get...
The idea of post-UTME is the fact that a lot of these universities feel that the UTME exam is not a true test of intelligence, because a lot of people probably have bypassed, or you see people, they pass UTME and some simple questions at the level of post-UTME that expect them, they don't know. So the question is, how did you now manage to pass the UTME exams? So that was what brought it in. For some institutions, the idea of post-UTME is additional fund generation for them. It's not because they are testing anything. Some, they just collect the money and there is no exam. He said at the end of the screening, post-UTME screening.
Yes.
So see, we abuse so many things, and I think the regulators, the regulatory agencies, NUC, NCCE, MBTE, who are supposed to regulate the activities of these institutions, really need to up their game.
Wonderful insights. Thank you very much for that, Dr. KAZEEM.
Yeah.
And that's what we can take on the discourse segment for today. We would like to appreciate our in-house analyst again, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM, for the beautiful insight he has provided on today's program. So we'll go to the Word of Mabel segment right now, where we will take a look at memorable quotes from wonderful people now. We are welcome to the Word of Mabel segment of education today. We'll take a look at memorable quotes that are educational and inspirational to everyone today. Today we have a quote from Judge Bernard Shaw. According to him, now Judge Bernard Shaw is our icon for this week, in case you've been following. According to him, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. Again, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds will not be able to change anything. That's our words on the marble for today. For us to achieve progress, we must be ready to do something different or differently. Change is a prerequisite for progress. You cannot be doing things the same way and expect a different result. And for any meaningful change to happen, it has to start from within. Change begins with you, it begins with me. Now, I do not know if you have an answer to the question we asked earlier. Who is the first graduate of Faraday College? Okay. Apparently, we do not have any answer. So the answer to that will be Samuel Ajayi Crowther, the first Anglican bishop in West Africa. So the first student and graduate of Faraday College, as I said, is Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. So this is to inform you, our esteemed listeners, that you can sponsor this program or advertise your product and services, and also showcase your events on our program. This you can do by calling the numbers 0703-953-8898 or 0702-507-4268. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's know how you feel about today's program through our various platforms. On Facebook, www.facebook.com/education today, Twitter at education today, Instagram education_today, YouTube at education today. You can also send an email to educationmediaservices@gmail.com. I take that again, educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Many thanks to the entire crew of Education Today and the management of Light Radio, especially Twice and Fayishayo and MC Vibes, of course. And we like to announce earlier, we are open to sponsorship of this program to keep it going. You can reach us on 0702-507-4268 or send an email again to educationmediaservices@gmail.com. I thank my crew members, Madam Amina, and our in-house analyst, Dr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM, for his prompt response every time. I am Said Aremu. So we'll come your way next week. Goodbye.
Ẹ̀dá kúnyé